Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Right Choice Slate podcast. My name is Pete Tanner, and this is a continuation of our podcast series on what some of our plans are when we get into office. And joining me today is John Corcoran. John, how you doing?
Very good, Pete. Thank you.
Great. John, today I'd like to just address a couple of rumors that are out there. I know a lot of people are nervous with a lot of they've got a combination of things happening. We've got the election going on. Now we've got the Amazon flying going away. We've got retraining that's going to happen. There's probably about 500 people out there that have to be shuffled around. And one of the rumors that's going around now is somehow the Right Choice wants to get elected, and then they just want to basically, start from scratch on all the committees. And that's just simply not the case. What I want to do, and what I think we've discussed on more than one occasion, is to make sure that the committees are empowered. They have the funding that they need to do the job. Now, some committees may be able to be combined. And one committee that's very important to me is the training committee, and I'll address that in a minute. Another rumor that I want to dispel is the fact that people believe we want just all contract instructors in the training center. That's simply not the case. That's probably been taken the wrong way when I've talked about it, but my idea of contract instructors is really retired Atlas Air pilots. And I don't care for the language that's always been in there, the professional pilot and all these other things that they write in that are in Article 11. I would prefer that there be some form of transformation from being a line pilot. You hit your retirement date, you slide across to the training center. You don't have to give up your 401k. You don't have to give up your pay. You don't have to give up your health care. And you can work another 2 or 4 years or 5 years and, add to your retirement package. And they'd have more full-time available experienced instructors. But those are just ideas. Again, these are just ideas. I support everyone who's in the training center right now. The Right Choice Slate has no intention of going in there and doing anything like that. Our training instructors are extremely important to us. I know many of them new, and I don't know the new guys, but I know many of the cadre that's been in there for a long time. And they're all a great bunch of people, and I support them 100%. And so, John, do you have anything to add to that? I think that pretty much covers those two rumors that are out there.
Yeah, Pete, I have something to add. Is the with 25 aircraft, 17 7.6s and 8 7.3s departing as of the June of next year, that's approximately 500 people that are going to be required to go to the Miami and be trained in either an aircraft they haven't flown in a long time or an aircraft they have never flown. And that is a level of stress that someone's going to have to go through. The other part of that is that when Amazon when Atlas decided to exit the Amazon space, what they also said was that they're going to focus on international long haul. So now someone that has been enjoying working domestic is going to have to make the transition of going into international or back to international. When you go down to Miami for your training, depending on how long you've been away from the 777 or the 74, is going to dictate if you're going to be put into a long course or a short course. And that short course is if you've been away for less than 35 months. And if you've been away longer than 36, that you'll go into the long course. But that's just the rules. That if a pilot would rather get a long course, I think that it should be considered. You could speak a little bit better on what you've seen happen down there. Why don't you go ahead for that?
Well, I think anybody on a captain upgrade from first officer to captain on the 7.4 in a short course, and obviously if they're already type rated on a 747 coming back to the equipment from, say, the 767, they're going to have some training issues. I mean, not everybody, obviously, but there will be people with training issues. And, they get identified, but they get identified towards the end of their training versus, in the beginning of their training. So I think that there could be some way to work with the training center, and the training committee could work with the fleet captains to address this and try to come up with a better plan so that those individuals that require it get that course. Or it could be a modified course. I don't think there's anything that necessarily, as long as all the requirements are covered, that there's anything that precludes them from adding to it a short course, for example, and modifying it. So that would be one idea. But again, the training committee would be the ones that would have to take point on this. And I have a lot of I have a lot of respect for the training committee, and because I was on the training committee. I worked under Mark Fitzgerald, and I watched him save jobs. That's what he did. And I know some of the people that are currently on the training committee, and they all want the best outcome for people. So they're a good tool, and they're a good asset for you to be able to get in there. And if you're having issues, you need to be able to reach out to the training committee. What I'm not sure of is if the training committee doesn't actually get ahead of the game now and get into these classes and these recurrent classes and say, okay, here we are. This is who we are. If you need to get a hold of us, here's our information. And they should be doing that. And we should also be getting into into Article 11 and making sure that everyone receives the appropriate training. All their rights are protected under the CBA, and providing you do your job, the training committee's there and they got your back, and that's what we need to have happen. And I am plan on doing that. I want to empower the training committee to do their job. I know how important that can be. There are people here that will listen to this podcast that I know Mark Fitzgerald saved their jobs. We did everything we could to help them keep their job. And just as a little insight, when Joe Dietrich was here and he was running the training center and he was the fleet captain on the 7.4 and the 7.6, one time I had to go to his office and he said, when I was at Northwest Airlines, if the training committee came through my front door, I knew I had a problem. And that's what it should be now. They should know that if the training committee shows up, there's an issue. There's either an issue with some training event or something happened, and they need to fix it. And that's their job. And we'll empower them to do their job. And that's one of our big goals. It's such an important thing. But I agree with you on that. I think the course could be modified. Obviously, there's requirements that the fleet captains and the director of training would have to go through to get that done. And like I said, the training committee could work closely with them to try to make sure everybody gets covered through this process. Because like I said, we know people are going to have issues. It will happen. And we have to be prepared for that because it's just inevitable. And I've seen the transition, and sometimes it's tough. Some people come in and they just rock and roll right through it. Other people, not so much. So again, this is it's really important that we focus in on this because it's coming, and it's coming pretty fast.
If I could add here, Article 11 is one of those articles that maybe doesn't get very much attention because there really isn't anything to do with compensation or scheduling or class of travel, which is your typical talking point amongst pilots when it comes to the CBA. But Article 11 is probably one of the most important articles in here because if you have a problem in training, it could actually cost you your job. And so our emphasis is going to be empowering the training committee to be able to make sure that Article 11 is absolutely adhered to.
I'd like to also just briefly talk to the instructors out there. I know, like I said, that rumor went around about contract instructors, and everyone here needs to realize that the instructors that are on our seniority list, and there's a lot of them here. They're in the same boat as we are. They're rowing with us, and we have to take care of them. And then this next contract coming up, we need to focus on their compensation package as well. I don't think the 74-hour, the 64-hour guarantee is 10 out. It's 10 over the 64. But if they raise everybody to 70, is it going to be 10 over 70? I don't know. And they're going to need to address that. And they're going to need to address the percentages that they get paid because they work hard. And I don't know one single person down there that takes any pleasure in seeing somebody not make it. They all have they have a heart of training people. They love being instructors, and they're there to make sure everybody gets through. And they put a lot of effort into it. It's a lot of work. I know I'm one of them. So I just want everyone there to know we appreciate what you do, and we got your back too when it comes to this next contract.
If I could add here, I know people that are at other airlines, and every training department at all the carriers are having issues because there's a different level of experience that's coming in, and then there's also the carrier itself. The carrier, we'll just say Atlas, only has so much money that they'd like to budget for the training center. And the fact is that training costs money. And if Atlas doesn't want to spend that amount of money, and they give only a certain budget, then the director of training is then required to operate within that budget. And so I think that's where the union training committee can step in and liaise with the training department and find out, okay, what can we do to make sure that the contract is being complied with, the pilot and the slash member is being treated fairly, and Atlas is actually producing pilots that need to go to the training center. It's a collaborative effort. Everyone needs to work together, but it can't just be if after 45 days the student is having trouble, that they just get canceled out and sent down the road. We can't allow that to happen.
We've got to be there for everybody, because this is a really tough time, and it's going to be a big transition, and there's going to be a lot of training events, and everybody's going to get fatigued, the instructors and the students, and they need to be prepared for that. It's coming up. So anyway, that's all I have for today, folks. We'd like you to vote. The ballots are coming out. Vote for the right choice slate. We'll get in there. We'll take care of it. We'll address these issues. We'll empower the committees to do their jobs. We'll get in there and get you a good contract. That's our plan. Till next time, stay tuned. We'll see you later.